Stepsister called crying about a medical emergency, so I sent her $5,000, but later found out she used it for a vacation and lied to everyone in our family while pretending she was taking care of her boyfriend in the hospital. I don't know why this one hurts so much even after all this time. Perhaps because it was from someone who I worked so hard to love like family even when she made it almost impossible. Or perhaps because I allowed myself to think, for a brief moment, that everything had finally changed. That she had finally changed. But nah, she hadn't. And truthfully, I feel dumb for not catching on sooner. For ignoring all the little hints, for ignoring the instinct, for being the one in the family that defended her when all the rest had given in. It's embarrassing now in hindsight how I literally pleaded with people to pardon her. How I told my mom she's trying. Can't you see she's really trying? When yeah, she wasn't. And the worst part? She had the knack of knowing exactly how to handle me. It was 2 weeks to Thanksgiving when she called. I remember because I was at work, during my lunch break, sitting in my car with half a turkey sandwich on my lap, sorting through old messages from my dad, homesick enough to start. Then she called my stepsister Jenna. And by close stepsisters, I don't mean that we were close. We never got to steal clothes or share secrets as kids. She arrived when I was 15 and she was 14, after her mother, my second wife, passed away. That in itself was a whole ordeal and maybe the story for another day. But yeah, rocky from the start. She never really cared about me, and I was so stunned by the sudden addition of a new sister that I never actually tried. But over time, especially after our parents broke up, I guess I softened to her. Trauma does that. It makes you hold on to people you wouldn't otherwise have in your life, just because they were there when everything exploded. But anyway, onto the call. She was off. Like she'd cried, but didn't want to. She told me, "Sorry to bother you at work." I didn't know who else to call. I went rigid. Because she never spoke that way. Jenna was all attitude, all the time. Even when she was broken, she had this wall up like, "I don't need anyone." And to hear her voice like that, like something had exploded through it, pulled at me. She described having had this emergency medical one, with her boyfriend, Jason, who supposedly collapsed while taking a shower that morning. Something about a seizure, blood pressure, hospital cost, not being covered, and she was panicking. She was talking rapidly, sobbing, and it felt real. Real enough I did not question her much. I just asked how much. She hesitated, classic manipulation technique, I realize now, and said, "I am ill asking, but if you could help me out like with $5,000, I can pay the hospital and the ambulance, and I'll pay you back." I swear. And I should have questioned. Should have replied, "Let me call the hospital." Or send me the bill. Or literally anything. But I had only said, "Okay. I'll Zelle you." And I had. I'd sent her $5,000 I'd been saving for a Japan trip, a trip I'd been dreaming of for years. I told myself, it's just money. She's family. If it were me in the hospital, I'd want help too. I even told my boyfriend later that night, maybe this is the start of us being real sisters. He just gave me that look. The one you don't like to get because it says everything without saying anything. 3 days later, her Instagram account went private. First I thought, okay, maybe they're low-keying it. Maybe it is actually bad. I texted her, no response. Called voicemail. Then her phone started going straight to "This number is no longer in service." I came up with this feeling in my stomach. You know that weird warmth that rises up in your body when you just know something is not right? Yeah. That. So the idiot thing that I did was look at her boyfriend's Facebook. He hadn't made a post in months until the day after she had called me. It was a photo of them in Miami. Not mourning in the hospital. But smiling on a boat, sunglasses on, cocktails in their hands. Hashtags like #escape and #blessed and #clearwater vibes. And then it all fell into place. The shaking voice. The rushed story. The private account. She had done it. She had played me. Not for sympathy but for money. My stomach did flip, and I swear my own heartbeat was thudding in my ears. I wasn't even mad yet. Humiliated, yes. Betrayed, sure. But stupid above all. Like the silly older sister who still hadn't gotten it. I screenshotted. Sent them to my mom. She called me immediately, furious. Not at Jenna or me. "This is exactly what she did to Aunt Kathy last year," she told me. "And 2 years ago, to your cousin Paul." I blinked. What? Nobody ever told me anything. It appeared Jenna had a routine. aims of false emergencies, loans, vanishing acts. And they'd all have dropped it quietly, figuring she'd bottomed out sooner or later. But I was the only one who wasn't warned. Because they knew I'd defend her. Because I always did. I was the last family member who believed she could change. And she knew it. Used it. Cashed it in on, literally. That's when the anger began. And when it came, man, it came hard. So yeah, the anger hit me like a freight train. And it wasn't just about the money, it was everything. All of which I'd let slide. All of which I'd ignored. All of the times she ghosted, snapped, borrowed and never paid back, lied with that honey voice like butter wouldn't melt. And I swallowed every single one of them whole like a complete idiot. But this time, something snapped open. Something cold. I wasn't going to let her just walk away again like she had every time. So I posted the screenshots in our family's private group chat, everything. Her crying on the phone. The $5,000. The Miami boat. Hashtags and all. I didn't even say much. Just typed "so not a hospital emergency, huh?" and sent the screenshots. Nobody answered for a while. I think they were just shocked. Then the reactions came in one by one. Shock. Disgust. Anger. Some of it on her. Some on them. But most of it? A kind of exhausted bitterness. Because I wasn't the start. Just the end of the line to find out. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat, replaying that phone call over and over in my head, trying to analyze the exact place she got me. The way she made her voice break just so, the way she relaxed it at the perfect time. The manner in which she informed me that I was ill for asking like it hurt her to deceive me. And I noticed how scripted it all was. How natural she made it. Like this was not her first con but her neatest one yet. I felt sick. Not because I lost $5,000. That did hurt, of course. But what totally destroyed me was the realization she never loved me. Not at all. Not in the frazzled stepsister way that people illustrate in rom-coms where they bicker but ultimately care for one another. No. She did not love me. She did not even like me. I was just convenient. And as soon as I was no longer convenient, I was let go. The next morning, I got a phone call from my Uncle Mike. He said, "I think we need to have a chat with your dad." Now I've barely spoken to my dad in almost 3 years. Complicated. Long story. He remarried again, and our relationship just sort of deteriorated into these stilted, silent birthdays and guilt-trippy holiday texts. But he's still Jenna's dad's stepdad technically, but raised her longer than her actual one did anyway. And Mike was right. Someone needed to tell him. So I called. He answered on the second ring and sounded taken aback to hear from me, but I didn't respond. I just said it. What she did. What she said. The screenshots. All of it. He was silent for a long time. Then he said, "She said she told me Jason had a seizure and nearly died. She said you assisted her with the ambulance fee. I gave her another $3,000 for his treatment." I swear I almost hung up the phone. He too had been cheated. By the same fantasy. But likely a variation sufficiently distinct to make him believe he was the only one she contacted. And then it made sense suddenly she'd shared the story. Told each of us only as much of the crisis as to be exclusive. Special. As if we were her only lifeline. And she was guzzling thousands from all of us, stockpiling money for who knows what on holiday in Miami like some bitch influencer. My dad was sounding wrecked. Like he didn't know what emotion to aim for. He just kept repeating, "She looked me in the eye," and lied. I held her while she cried. I thought, and then he spaced out. I never said a thing. What is there to say? I told you so? No way. Both of us were idiots. Both lied. Both hurt. I think for that moment, we really saw each other, two human beings trying to find our way through the same trickery from opposite sides of the same dilapidated family. And after that, things all started coming apart at the seams so fast. My Uncle Mike told me Jenna had also stolen money from him 6 months earlier, just little, he explained, but enough that he caught on. My cousin Sam chimed in, told me she pawned his old guitar pretending she was going to get it restrung, and just never gave it back. My mom told me she once caught her rummaging through her purse at a family barbecue and made excuses for it. Everyone had a history. Everyone had a moment that they decided to forget. Because that's what you do with family, right? You forgive. You hope. You give them chances. And if they apologize enough, or apologize sincerely enough, or say the right words, you want to believe them. Because to assume the worst about someone you grew up with, someone who ate dinner at your table and called your dad, that stings in a way people don't talk about enough. But now that the curtain had been pulled back, we couldn't not see it. And she couldn't hide anymore either. That weekend, her boyfriend posted again. A selfie in a hotel room. Champagne. A caption that read no more stress. Just vibes. And maybe he did not know the money was stolen. Or maybe he did. But I was done speculating. I tweeted openly on the post. Just 5 words: enjoy it while it lasts. And the comments exploded. Cousins. Aunts. Old friends. Everyone weighed in. Didn't you swindle your family? Isn't this on stolen funds? Wow, gutsy to publish your crimes. She blocked me, of course. And then she disappeared again off socials, off everything. But the damage was already done. It was worse than the betrayal itself, but the silence afterward. She went utterly missing, deleted Instagram, changed her number for the 3rd time, no emails. But here is the thing. I wasn't seeking an apology at this point. I didn't give a damn about the money anymore. All that I wanted her to do was look at me in the eye and admit it. Just say it. Say, yeah, I used you. Say, you didn't mean anything to me. Because the not knowing, the pretending, the ghosting, that was like being erased. Like she didn't even respect me enough to lie to my face twice. My dad was going crazy a little too. He's not really the kind of guy who discusses feelings, but he began sending these late-night messages like, do you think she's okay? Or was it me? Was I a bad mom? And it broke something within me. Because as much as we weren't close in years, I could feel his guilt radiating through the screen. And sure, he messed up. We all did. But this wasn't on him. Jenna was no longer some lost child. She was an adult woman who chose to burn all those who still cared. And that kind of damage, it's hard to explain to people who have never had to go through it. Not money. Identity. Questioning your own mind. Questioning how many things else you did wrong, how many people you trusted that weren't worth it. A week went by. Then 2. And then I got a message from someone I did not know, a girl named Haley who said she was Jenna's previous roommate from Atlanta. She messaged me saying, hey, I don't know if you're her sister or whatever, but she owes me over $2,000 and skipped out on our lease. I saw your post on her boyfriend's status. Can we chat? And I almost laughed. Because of course she had the whole string of things. This girl sent me snaps of Jenna claiming to have lost her job, pleading for a bit of help, saying she'd Venmo next Friday. Then poof. Rent unpaid. Utilities off. She even left behind her cat. A cat. Like it didn't occur to her. I asked Haley if she ever got anything returned. She didn't. She was suing me through email intimidation and small claims court, but informed me that she was certain she'd never see a penny. That's when I realized Jenna didn't scam only our family. She was a serial scammer. A vagabond. A grifter in sneakers and cropped hoodies and a heart full of poison. I recalled all the jobs she said she did. All the moves she did. All the stories. And one by one, all of them fell apart. The hospital internship was probably made up. The Dallas marketing firm that she had said had let her go? Guess that didn't exist either. The car stolen in New Orleans? Probably a scam to sell it off. It was all made up, stacked on top of made up, stitched together with tears and carefully timed desperation. The family wasn't just angry by then. They were done. My mom told me, she's not welcome here any longer. Not for holidays. Not even if she calls us in tears. I can't do it again. My uncle filed a police report, just to have it on file. He said maybe nothing will occur, but if she does it with somebody else, at least they'll know that she's got history. Even my dad eventually stopped defending her. That was the one thing that shook me the hardest. Because for all his flaws, he always did have a belief in redemption. But even he could tell that she didn't need help. She needed access. And when that cut off, she bounced. Then one night, around 1 a.m., I got a phone call. It was an unknown number. I was about to let it go. But something in me, maybe spite, maybe hope, compelled me to answer. And it was her. Jenna. No word at first. Breathing, as if she didn't know what to say. I didn't say anything either. I just waited. And then she said, you didn't have to ruin everything. And my heart sank, but not in a sad way, in a cold way. Because she did not say, I'm sorry. She did not say, I made a mistake. She said I ruined things? Me. For having called her out. For showing to people the truth. I laughed not because I was laughing, but because I couldn't believe it. I demanded of her, did you ever mean any of it? She remained quiet again. Then she grumbled, I was just trying to survive. You don't get it. You've always had people. And I almost lost it. Because that's the narrative. She always defaulted to the orphan card, the pity script. As if pain had granted her permission to destroy everyone else's faith. I told her you had people. We were your people. But you used every single one of us up. And she started crying, but it wasn't the kind of crying that would kill me. It was a practiced sort of crying. Hollow. Like an endless, weeping melody. She complained of being in a dark spot and not having a clue about how to get assistance, but I cut her short there. I informed her, you did not look for assistance. You created an emergency. You lied. You stole. That is not being in a dark spot. That's being a scam artist. And she hung up. Like that. No apology. No closure. Just the sound of cowardice. I stood there in my kitchen for an eternity, holding the phone up in my hand, listening to the deafening silence, and knowing that was it. There wasn't going to be a grand showdown or a sobby admission or some sort of fairy tale moment of healing. The real closure was simply that I finally saw her for what she really was. No illusions anymore. No hoping anymore. Just the truth. It's been about 9 months now. Long enough that nobody's been asking me if I ever heard from her again. Short answer, no. After that last phone call, she vanished again like she always does when things get serious. I blocked her number, not because I was being hateful but because I didn't care to deal with her anymore. Same with email. Socials. Everything. I thought to myself, if she ever decided to actually take responsibility, really take responsibility, she'd figure it out. But I wasn't going to leave the door open for her to waltz through and wreck me again. Because she would. She absolutely would. That money that I provided her? Lost. No refund, no repayment, not even a broken promise afterwards. And it's no longer about the Japanese trip at all. I'll get there someday. I'm rebuilding my nest egg. Bit by bit. What stings worse is that sense of betrayal that continues to reverberate within you long after the person is no longer there. Like an aftershock. Occasionally, I still find myself ruminating on that phone call, how genuine it sounded, how terrified she feigned to be, and I just shake my head. It messes with your trust, you know? Not just in them, but in yourself as well. I was doubting everything after that. Every time somebody wanted to do something nice. Every emotional conversation. I was constantly wondering, am I being played? And that's not a good place to be mentally. That second guessing, that butterflies in your stomach when somebody says, can I ask you something? Like bait. But over time and after a great many honest talks with people whom I actually trust, I've started to forgive myself. That was the hardest part. Because you do blame yourself. Even if everyone else keeps telling you it is not your fault. Even if they say to you, you were just being kind. In your head, you still hear that voice saying to you, you should have known. You should have seen it coming. And maybe that's what is true. Maybe I should have. But then maybe I just wanted to believe the best of someone because I was in love with her. Even if she didn't feel the same way. We've transformed the family as well. We're closer in some ways now. No more secrets. No more lies. Everyone knows what happened, and strangely enough, it did bring us together. We've discussed things we never used to talk about. We've had painful conversations. There's just a kind of rough candor in our group text now. Like everyone's just dropped their act. My dad and I were really reconnecting. Slowly. It's not great. But there's something real there again. We talk every week. He asks about work. Sends me photos of the dog. We don't talk about Jenna that much. Not because we're afraid to, but because we've said everything there is to say. We know what she is. And we know we're not fixing her. You can't fix someone who benefits from being broken. Regarding her, I have no idea where she is. Last I heard by a friend of a friend, she was in Arizona. New boyfriend. New drama. Most likely another in the making emergency. Maybe she'll just keep going like that forever. Or perhaps one day, it'll all come back to her. I used to fantasize about that, her getting caught, having to face every lie, every theft, every phony tear. But I don't anymore. Because the thing is, she already lost. When you live like that, flitting from person to person, burning bridges, using people until they're dry, you never actually win. You might acquire the money, the holiday, the smile for show on Instagram, but you lose the things that mean something. Trust, love, roots, a home. And at the heart of it, I think she knows that too. I think that's why she runs so much. Not from us. From herself. Sometimes I wonder what I'd do if she showed up on my doorstep. If she came back with those tearful eyes once again, saying, "Sorry. I had no idea what I was doing." Would I trust her? Would I forgive? I have no idea. Honestly, I think I'd just close the door. Not angrily. Not furiously. Just gently. Quietly. Because I've learned something through all of this. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is not open the door. I still think about her, yeah. Not every day, but more than I'd like to admit. She was such a powerful force in my life, even when most of it was a mess. And there's a melancholy to realizing that someone you loved is never going to be the person you'd hoped they'd turn out to be. That melancholy is real. It's not a grief for them per se, it's a grief for the future you'd envisioned with them. The sisterhood. The trust. The shared holidays. The late night laughs. All of it. Gone. But I've also made peace with it. I've stopped romanticizing the idea of family as something that's owed or automatic. Family, real family, isn't blood. It's behavior. It's who shows up. Who respects your heart. Who tells the truth even when it's ugly. And by that definition, Jenna was never really family. She was just a lesson I learned the hard way. That's my story. I lost $5,000. I lost a pretend relationship. But something came out of this in the ashes: clarity, boundaries, and understanding of the people who actually care. I'm here. Still healing. Still in the process of learning to trust again. But not bitter. I am just the opposite now. Very awake. And if you're reading this, and you've had to endure something like this, someone who used you, lied to your face, said it was love as they drained you, just remember this: you're not stupid. You're not weak. You're human. And you loved. That's not your shame. That's your strength. Let them have the shame. You go on.